When we hear the words covered wagon, our minds often travel to dusty trails of the American Old West. Wooden wheels creaking across endless plains, pioneers chasing new horizons. But what if I told you that the world's best preserved covered wagon is not from the 1800s, not from America, but from 3,500 years ago, buried deep beneath the soil of Bronze Age Armenia? This is the story of the Lchashin wagon, a technological marvel, a funerary vessel, and a silent witness to humanity's early mastery of wheeled transport. More than just a vehicle, this wagon carried a powerful message, a journey beyond death into the next world. For centuries, covered wagons have been closely associated with Western expansion, settlers moving westward, braving the unknown. Yet archaeology tells us a far older story. Long before the Oregon Trail, long before written history, covered wagons were already being built with remarkable sophistication. The finest surviving example of this ancient technology was uncovered in Lchashin, a site near Lake Sevan in modern-day Armenia. Buried within an elite Bronze Age cemetery, the Lchashin wagon lay hidden for millennia, preserved not by chance, but by ritual, craftsmanship, and respect for the dead. The discovery of the Lchashin wagon was not planned. In the 1950s, during the Soviet era, engineers began draining parts of Lake Sevan to irrigate nearby agricultural land. As the waters receded, something extraordinary emerged. Construction workers uncovered an immense late Bronze Age necropolis, containing over 500 burials and hundreds of grave goods, tools, weapons, ornaments, and symbols of status. Among these discoveries were the remains of 6 massive oak wagons. This was not an ordinary burial ground. It was a cemetery reserved for elite individuals, chieftains, leaders, and figures of power. And these wagons were meant to serve them beyond death. Archaeologists determined that the wagons dated to the 15th to 14th centuries BC, placing them firmly in the late Bronze Age. Each wagon shared several key features. For large wooden wheels, 2 axles, heavy oak construction, but not all were the same. 2 wagons were open, likely used for ceremonial or transport purposes. The remaining 4 wagons, however, featured complex superstructures, wooden frameworks rising above the platform. One of these stood apart. This wagon, now known as the Lchashin wagon, is regarded as the best preserved early covered wagon ever discovered. The craftsmanship of the Lchashin wagon is nothing short of astonishing. The structure was assembled from at least 70 individual wooden components, joined together using a mortise and tenon system, a woodworking technique still admired today. Bronze fittings reinforced the joints, adding both strength and durability. Archaeologist Stuart Piggott, writing in 1968, noted that the canopy frame alone required over 600 mortise holes. 600. This level of precision tells us something crucial. These were not primitive builders. They were master engineers. The wagon measures approximately 6.5 feet, 2 meters, in length, and its wheels are truly monumental. Each wheel stands 63 inches tall, over 5 feet, and was crafted from 2 massive slabs of joined wood. Such size allowed the wagon to traverse uneven terrain, suggesting it was built not only for ritual, but for real-world movement. Why bury a wagon with the dead? In Bronze Age belief systems, the afterlife was not static, it was a journey. The deceased chief placed within this wagon was not meant to remain still. He was meant to travel, just as horses, weapons, and jewelry were buried to serve their owner beyond death. The wagon symbolized passage, movement from this world to the next. The presence of 2- and 4-wheeled wagons, along with bronze models of war chariots, suggests that wheeled transport held deep symbolic meaning at Lchashin. It represented power, status, and continuity beyond mortality. You may have heard claims that the Lchashin wagon is the oldest wagon ever discovered. That claim, however, requires caution. Archaeological evidence shows that while technology predates Ulchashin, the earliest known wheels and wheeled vehicles likely originated in Mesopotamia during the Copper Age, between 4500 and 3300 BC. Covered wagons also appear earlier in fragmented forms across Eurasia. But here's what makes Ulchashin unique. It is one of the earliest and the best preserved examples of a covered wagon with spoked wheels mounted on axles. Preservation matters. Without preservation, history remains incomplete. One of the greatest unanswered questions remains. Was this technology invented locally in the Armenian highlands? Or was it introduced from Mesopotamia to the south? Or perhaps from the Eurasian steppe to the north? The truth may lie somewhere in between. Ulchashin sat at a crossroads of ancient civilizations, a meeting point of cultures, trade routes, and ideas. What we do know is this. The Ulchashin wagon represents a moment of technological convergence, where engineering, belief, and ritual came together in wood and bronze. Today, the Ulchashin wagon rests inside the History Museum of Armenia in Yerevan. It no longer moves. Its wheels no longer turn. Yet it continues its journey, not across land, but through time. A reminder that long before modern roads and machines, humanity had already mastered the art of motion, and the idea that even in death, the journey never truly ends.